Welcome one and all to Let's Play, my next side project alongside Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for the Game Boy Advance. So I had you guys vote on this one sometime prior in my Discord server, and it was either this game or Metroid Zero Mission, meaning that I will be tackling Zero Mission once this one is done. But yeah, this game alongside that game and Klonoa 2 are probably a three-way tie for my favorite 2D platformers ever. Um, this is probably one of the most nostalgic games for me in general growing up, and I have played through this one countless times. This alongside Super Mario Advance 1 were the first GBA games I ever came to own, alongside me actually, getting a Game Boy Advance for my 8th birthday back in 2001. So, needless to say, yeah, this game means a lot to me. A lot more than a lot of the other games I've covered on this channel. And I was worried coming into this that my nostalgia would get in the way and it would kind of ruin my expectations of how the game would end up being, tackling it years later. But I did a practice run, and lo and behold, I still love this game more than ever. So, yeah, welcome to Let's Play Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance. So, a few things to cover before we start. This game does come in 3 difficulty settings, and these difficulty settings do more than just alter enemy behavior, as far as just beefing up their HP is concerned. No, this alters enemy placement, treasure placement, the alarm clock settings for the frog statue thingamajiggies that we'll be covering later. Basically, playing the game in 3 of these difficulty settings provides a pretty rich and a differentiating experience with each one. Yeah, I definitely recommend multiple repeat playthroughs for that reason alone. However, I'm going to be tackling hard mode, and the reason for that is that super hard isn't really unlocked until you beat hard mode, and normal mode is a bit too easy for my liking. So we'll be covering super hard in a streamed playthrough or something, I'm not quite sure yet, but hard mode is going to be the way I go for this playthrough. So the playthrough of this game, as far as the plot is concerned, is pretty basic. Wario reads up about a pyramid that was just discovered? Huh? How do you just discover an ancient pyramid? How does that even work? And then he just, finds it and decides, oh, well, the treasure in it is just as good as mine, I suppose. So, not much of a story here to behold, I guess, but fun little Easter egg. If you hold the R button during that opening sequence, you actually go into this stupid little dash animation. And this game is chock full of Easter eggs all over the place, and I'll be sure to cover those once we hit those said Easter eggs. But anywho, going into this playthrough, this will be a 100% run, and that not only includes the diamonds we're going to be getting to unlock the boss doors, this will also cover the CDs and the high scores for each and every level. If you get 10,000 coins with each and every level, you get the golden high score, and if you get every golden high score for all 18 levels, you get a bonus reward out of it, and I'll be covering that in due time. Just thought I'd cover that now, because holy shit, Wario Land 4 definitely changes it up quite a bit from its predecessors. So in Wario Lands 2 and 3, you didn't take damage at all, and Wario Land 4 kind of goes back to a traditional health system. Not in the same vein as, like, Wario Land 1, but more so in the sense that it's got, like, a heart container system, somewhat akin to, like, say, Zelda, for example. And, that isn't to say Wario didn't lose his transformation abilities going into this game. He actually retained just about all of them, as far as I can tell. Except this time there are select things that actually do realistic damage to him, and you want to steer clear of that. And sometimes it's not always obvious as far as like what hurts him and what doesn't, but the general gist of it is that it's either something incredibly sharp or electric based, and that's kind of all you need to know. So the Hall of Hieroglyphs here is a tutorial level that covers all of Wario's innate abilities. Wario doesn't gain any additional abilities outside of the transformation abilities that you run into across the game, so he's pretty stacked right off the get-go. But on the other hand, however, this game actually introduces a few new abilities that he'll be taking advantage of, and you'll definitely going to want to make sure you take into account each and every one of these abilities, because this game is a puzzle platformer, much like the games before it, albeit a little bit more linear than usual, and you want to make sure you use these abilities moving forward so that way you don't end up getting stuck. So the goal of each level is to but to collect these 4 diamond things from these treasure chests. You get all 4 of them, and you get a complete diamond that actually acts as a key to the boss of each world. And you want to make sure you collect that as well as the key ghost that you'll be finding later in the level. That here is the shoulder bash. Mark 2. Basically, you hold the R button, and you give yourself a bit of distance, and you start charging in like a maniac. And this move is pretty damn essential if you want to break harder blocks, on top of making jumps that you couldn't prior. So this move is going to be pretty damn helpful in the long run. And, oh boy. Definitely feels good to be playing this game again. I'm not sure how I'm going to be tackling this game commentary-wise. I haven't really played too many games of the platformer genre on the channel outside of, like, say, the Metroid and Mario games so far. The Mario Land games, anyway. I haven't really gone much into Mario for some reason, but this game, I won't lie, is going to be pretty hard to evaluate, because I do kind of do like a mini critique, progressing into the playthrough of whatever game I'm playing, and this is probably like one of the most nostalgic games for me, period. And as a result of that, I definitely had to plan this playthrough out pretty far in advance as a result of that, so that way I don't, get perplexed between, oh, well, this thing was great because I said it was great, or this thing is bad because somebody else said it was bad, and it's like, ugh. That's why I held off on doing this game for so long, because, like, it can be very, very difficult to judge a game on, like, the correct terms if you're not, like, approaching it from the lens of a newcomer. And I know Wario Land 4, in particular, is a game that not a whole lot of people have played, ironically. It's a little weird, but, like, Wario Land 4 is not a game that's often talked about, and that's a damn shame, because it's pretty damn good. First off, I want to go ahead and talk about this. So, every YouTuber I find that, ends up playing this game one way or another always forgets about this. I can't say I blame them, because it's not something you would notice on your first playthrough, and that is pretty much a requirement if you want to get 100% completion for this level, so I would be sure not to forget about it. Yeah, where is my train of thought going with the previous statement? Hold on. Alright, I remember now. So I was talking about how this game wasn't something that, a lot of people ended up playing, growing up. And I find that really weird, because this came within the launch year of the GBA. And, like, with how much polish this game has, it baffles me that this game never gained the popularity it did. And I just find that really astounding. So this playthrough will be served as an opportunity for me to talk about the strengths of the game, some of the potential weaknesses this game may have that, the other games didn't quite have. Because I know a lot of people love Wario Land 3, for instance, and I'll be sure to bring that up. But, yeah, it's kind of a damn shame, really. So this is, quite frankly, like one of the most underrated video games I've played on the channel so far, and I will do my best to express my love for it moving forward. So, anywho, this here is a frog switch. So whenever you jump on a frog switch, that acts as the goal of the level. You're not simply going from point A to point B, collecting treasure as you go. Once you hit a frog switch, you actually have to backtrack through the entirety of the level, or some of it in this case, because this is a tutorial level after all. And you need to make it to the goal with all of your treasure intact, or you won't be able to leave the level with anything, you know, worthwhile and, you know, progress onwards for great justice, so to speak. So, I'm gonna jump on this thing. And oh boy, that melody sure does send chills down my spine. Man, if you thought the escape sequences in Metroid were something to, like, be weary of, that song right there pretty much gives me a heart attack. And it's something that can send chills down anybody's spine playing this game. So I kind of messed up earlier, collecting some of the gold earlier on in this level, so I'll have to go back and, you know, fix that up, given the correct opportunity in this playthrough, because I don't want to, you know, backtrack all that much, if at all, really. So I'll probably just cover that in post-commentary, I suppose. But, anywho, we have the boss available to us, as well as the minigame shop. So I was kind of contemplating on how I'd be tackling the minigames for this playthrough, and what I eventually decided on is this. So there are 6 passageways, or 6 worlds, if you may, and each one of these have minigame shops, but they have the same minigames in each one, so it's like you pick and choose, I suppose. And basically what I'm going to be doing is that, for the sake of pacing, I'm going to be covering one minigame at a time per passage. I'm not going to be utilizing the minigame shop too much, because it is something you can use to cheat your way through boss battles, but I don't think it's quite necessary for the first one, because of how literally designed it is to be a tutorial boss. So, not all passageways are this short, however. This is the opening of the game, after all, and it's gonna be pretty evident once we fight the boss here in just a second. So you can take the gold you earn from minigames and use it on these items. We only have a select few so far, but we'll be gaining additional items for the later passageways. That'll be more beneficial for later boss fights, but they'll require more frog coins to use. And of course, here's a good smile, for great measure. So anywho, let's stop dawdling around and get things started. And this boss may not look like it, but this dude freaked me out so much that I was afraid to do repeat playthroughs of this. When you beat the game, you're given the opportunity to refight all of the bosses except the first one. And, like, there's a pretty good, clear reason why. So, he ends up being a punching bag for most of the fight. Up until that. And this thing freaked me out as much as the Redeads did in Ocarina of Time. And goddamn, this thing scarred me for ages. Jesus Christ. This game is fucking weird, man. Like, Wario Land 4 definitely set the foundation for what would eventually become WarioWare, and it definitely sets the precedence in that by creating the weird and quirky environments that you're going to be running across throughout the entirety of this game. This game is fucking weird and strange as hell, and it will not hesitate to embrace it in any capacity. So, now that we've finished the entry passage, we have gained passage, no pun intended, to the other 4 passageways. And you can tackle these in any order. You can pick and choose which one you want to finish first or second, third, last, etc. And by the time you finish all of these 4 passageways, you gain access to the final one. A lot of people kind of criticize Wario Land 4 for being a short game, but you guys know me. I play Metroid for the channel, 2D Metroid, and those games, if you know what you're doing, only take about 2 hours to finish. And believe me, as long as the journey is succulent enough, I personally don't really care so long as the game is great overall. And oh boy, does the game make great use out of that space. For damn sure. These levels have a lot of variety and atmosphere going for them, and I'll be covering that in the next few parts. But before I um, end off this video, we're going to talk about the sound room. So, in each of the 4 passageways, alongside the treasure you'll be finding to unlock the boss room, you'll be running into CDs. And the CDs are completely optional. And if you thought the strange and weird atmosphere of Wario Land 4 was, the only thing setting the precedence for WarioWare, uh, the music you'll be listening to here is a completely different story altogether. So I'll probably be covering all of that within a bonus video, don't you worry. But for now, I think I've spent just enough time on this video. So next time on Let's Play Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance, we're going to tackle the Emerald Passage first. So see you guys then.